What if MrBeast ran for president?
I'm giving random people that vote for me $1 million.
Yeah.
This may all sound ridiculous, but MrBeast has enormous influence, with a YouTube following of 181 million. He often uses his platform for social good, such as cleaning up dirty beaches or fixing people's eyesights. But at the same time, he pushes the limits of YouTube that nobody thought was possible. I mean, who'd have thought that a YouTuber would be firing tanks at a Lamborghini? So with all this said, there's no better way to make a positive impact while pushing the limits than becoming the most powerful person in the world. But hold on a second, he's just a 25-year-old YouTuber who has absolutely no political experience, and there remains a lot of questions about how MrBeast will govern as president. His party of choice will probably not be Democrat or Republican, but an independent to avoid alienating half of his base, something no candidate has successfully done since George Washington. But let's fast forward to 2043, which is around when MrBeast said that he would run, giving him 2 decades to prepare. At this point, 45-year-old Jimmy will have billions of subscribers all over the world. This means that just about everybody in America has heard of him. But for anyone living under a rock, he will also have many other brands under his name, including Feastables, burgers, mobile games, and who knows what other crazy things are down the road. So the second he submits his paperwork along with an announcement video on his channel, I ran for president, he will quite literally break the internet. This will be the first of many future videos related to his campaign, and they will no doubt gain an eye-popping amount of views. Everyone on social media will be giving their own 2 cents on the matter, exponentially boosting his name recognition. With so much attention surrounding his announcement, he will instantly lock in millions of votes. He will blow his opponents out of the water in terms of polling, but after the novelty of his presidential bid has faded away a little bit, it's time for MrBeast to put on his politician hat and start doing some campaigning. It's the first MrBeast rally in his home state of North Carolina, with a crowd of tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. Most of them are longtime subscribers of Jimmy, along with a few curious onlookers as he delivers his first ever political speech. After half an hour of talking, he gets right into the juicy bits everyone has been looking for. As promised, MrBeast will write $1 billion check to many different charities. Believe it or not, he actually said that he would give away his entire fortune.
Yeah, I want to try to make a ton of money and then just give it all away.
And by 2043, who knows how much wealth he would actually have. And why stop there? He can also give away millions of dollars to the crowd as well. I mean, imagine having never heard of a billionaire MrBeast and seeing him suddenly give away his entire fortune. As if he didn't have enough attention on him already, an event like this will definitely get everyone and their mom talking. These types of charitable stunts will probably define the campaign season. MrBeast will visit places all across the country and just do absolutely crazy things. There are so many things he can do, such as building houses, cleaning up an entire city, or just hosting a last to leave circle wins $1 million challenge for the heck of it. I mean, imagine a calendar full of mind-blowing events like these every single day. His fundraising appeal will also be extremely high, as the money could be used for even more crazy events. But whatever he does in these critical few months, he will be one of the only politicians that's not just all talk and no action. To the American public, President Beast will sound more and more like an appetizing name. It's the spring of 2044, and it's time for MrBeast to appoint a vice president. There are many ways he can go about doing this, such as last to take their hand off the White House becomes vice president. Needless to say, this would be a banger video idea for MrBeast, but a more disciplined approach would be to pick someone experienced in government. Whichever option he decides to go with, I'm sure that he will end up surrounding himself with the brightest minds in politics. Everyone working for his campaign would make sure he is the best candidate he can possibly be. As a YouTuber, he's already using this philosophy as he has some of the best people in the world working for him. And this strategy seems to be going pretty well, so I've no doubt he would do the exact same thing with politics, regardless of who his vice president might be. At this point, all signs point towards a MrBeast victory. Remember, he has over 2 decades to add to his resume and fill in the details of what his campaign would actually look like. As a tried and tested entertainer and philanthropist, MrBeast will have no problem attracting a huge amount of attention while doing good. An absolute killer combo. People are hungry for change, and most will be counting on him to shatter the reign of career politicians in Washington. But there's one huge setback that MrBeast will have to somehow address. As a viral YouTuber and not an experienced politician, people will rightfully have questions about whether he can actually run a country. And there is no better occasion to prove himself than Presidential Debate Night 2044. This is not the time for crazy stunts. At the end of the day, this is politics with heated opinions on both sides.
This country was seriously divided before I got here.
He can't just become an entertainer, he needs to become a politician. The debate moderator will ask difficult questions from a range of topics. What would you do to prevent AI from taking over jobs? How would you deal with the economy, foreign policy, crime? There's always many issues surrounding elections, and MrBeast will have to take firm positions on these divisive topics. I imagine that he will go for a pretty moderate approach to politics, trying to find a compromise between Democrats and Republicans so he has the most appeal. But that won't satisfy those on either end of the political spectrum. Throughout the campaign season and debates, some people will stop supporting him because of what he has to say. You can't please everybody all at once. As influential of a candidate that he is, Jimmy will inevitably face a lot of pushback from both sides. Aside from his inexperience, maybe he just comes off as too naive to be running a country. People may argue he should stay in his lane and go back to making content, and let the real adults be in charge. If these arguments gain enough traction, he might not be a guaranteed lock for the presidency. Speculating about a situation more than 2 decades from now, pretty much anything can happen that could come back to bite Jimmy, and both Democrats and Republicans will probably end up ganging upon him as well. All this to say, MrBeast's campaign will not be all fun and games. He will face a hailstorm of opposition to his presidential run. But if anyone would keep going and not let any of this get to his head, it would be MrBeast. I mean, no one on the planet would voluntarily lock themselves up in their bedroom and count to 100,000. He's a man of resilience, and there's no doubt he would apply the same mindset as a candidate, and he has something huge going for him. He knows he would be the most unique president the country has ever seen, and the idea of the first ever YouTuber president will likely cause the entirety of the internet to support him to no end. That means an alliance of millions of influencers hyping up his candidacy so that the first YouTuber can be elected president of the United States. As if MrBeast's own fanbase wasn't enough, the entire internet campaigning for him will certainly do the trick. The last few days before the election, MrBeast and his opponents will be scrambling to get last-minute votes. I'm sure he will save a really mind-blowing campaign stunt that he can pull off to drive voter turnout higher in his favor. It's important not to be complacent because you don't know the results until you see them, and I think it would be funny to gather the craziest celebrities in existence and make them fight out for a guaranteed cabinet position. Whatever ends up happening though, he will need to end the campaign season with something really memorable so he can squeeze in the last couple of votes. On November 8th, 2044, the long-awaited election day will finally arrive. Millions of Americans will line up at the polls in order to cast a vote between 3 major candidates: a Democrat, a Republican, and MrBeast. Regardless of what happened in the campaign season, millions of people who grew up watching MrBeast will cast their vote for him because of all the memories he has provided. As the results trickle in state by state, the picture will start to be clear. The electoral map will largely not be blue or red, but MrBeast's branding colors. Around midnight, as Jimmy crosses the magic number of 269 electoral votes needed to win the election, you can't help but get hyped for the absolute roller coaster that America will be in for the next 4 years.